Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. We're diving into a really helpful topic today, especially if you're learning English.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to be looking at a situational dialogue.
Yeah, and it's all about how to be polite in public, which can be a little tricky sometimes, especially when you're still learning English.
It'd be a little nerve-wracking, right?
Yeah, exactly. So our expert today is going to help break it all down and give you some really useful phrases to use so you can feel confident in any situation.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ella.
And I'm Alex. And today we're doing a deep dive into public politeness. So, Ella, you ready to jump into our dialogue?
Let's do it.
Okay. So imagine we're in a library,
Right.
right? And someone's talking super loud on their phone. What would you do?
Oh, that's a tough one. Well, first I'd wonder, do you think they should really lower their voice?
I mean, yeah, it's a library. It's supposed to be quiet, and they're kind of disturbing everyone else.
True, true. But maybe we should just wait and see. Maybe they'll realize it on their own.
Yeah, good point. Sometimes people just don't realize they're being loud.
Exactly. And if they keep talking loud, then we can always politely ask them to be quieter.
Yeah, definitely. It's always better to be polite, especially in a shared space like a library.
Totally. It makes things better for everyone.
So there you have it. That's our dialogue. It shows how to handle a kind of awkward situation politely.
It was a pretty clear example, right? And the language was nice and simple. Perfect for English learners.
Absolutely. Now let's break down some of the key phrases that we just heard, like lower their voice.
Okay, so lower their voice basically means to ask someone to speak more quietly. Can you say that? Lower their voice.
Lower their voice, easy.
Perfect. And you can use that phrase in all sorts of places, not just the library. Like imagine you're at the movies or even on a bus.
Ooh, yeah, that makes sense. So what about the phrase disturb others?
Disturb others means to bother other people. Like if you play loud music, you might disturb others who are trying to sleep. Disturb others. Try saying it.
Disturb others. It's like you're not being mindful of other people.
Right. Okay, let's try another one. How about wait and see?
Ooh, that one's kind of about being patient, right?
Exactly. It means you're going to wait and see what happens before doing anything.
Like you're giving them a chance to realize they're being loud.
Yep. Okay, last one. Politely ask.
That one seems pretty self-explanatory.
It is. It just means you're asking someone to do something in a nice way, not being rude or mean.
Like, excuse me, could you please lower your voice?
Exactly.
So those are some super useful phrases for being polite in public. Now let's move on to some keywords, like the word disturb.
So disturb means to bother someone or to interrupt them. Remember the example about the loud music? That can disturb your sleep. Can you say disturb?
Disturb.
Got it. Great. What about the word realize? Realize means to understand something or to become aware of it. Like, oh, I don't realize I was being so loud.
Realize I like that one.
Okay, and the last word for today is polite. Polite basically means to be nice and respectful to other people.
Polite. Like it's polite to say please and thank you.
Exactly.
So learning these words and phrases can really help you speak English more confidently. Now, before we move on to the next part of our deep dive,
Don't forget to subscribe and like this episode for more helpful English lessons. See you on part 2.
welcome back to the deep dive. We're going to keep talking about public politeness.
Yeah, we learned some really helpful phrases like lower your voice, disturb others, and politely ask.
Right. And remember those key words, disturb, realize, and polite.
Now I'm curious about something. How does politeness change in different cultures?
Oh, that's a great question. What's considered polite in one country might be totally different in another.
Yeah, that's true. So how can we be sure to be polite in English-speaking countries?
Well, one thing that's really important is saying thank you a lot, even for small things like holding the door open.
Thank you. Simple but important.
Exactly. It shows
Yeah.
you appreciate them. Oh, and another thing, in English-speaking cultures, it's usually polite to make eye contact when you're talking to someone.
Oh, interesting. So looking at them means you're paying attention. Yeah, but of course you don't want to stare them down. It's also important to respect people's personal space. Don't stand too close.
Good point. Everyone needs a little breathing room. Okay, let's go back to our dialogue about the person talking loudly on their phone in the library.
Okay, so you remember I asked, do you think that person should lower their voice?
And I said, yes, it's quite loud here. It might disturb others.
Right. Now let's change the scene a bit. Imagine we're on a crowded bus.
Okay, so I'm on a bus. Someone's on the phone talking super loud.
How would you ask them to be quieter?
On a bus? It's a bit more casual. Maybe I'd say, excuse me, could you please talk a little softer? It's hard to hear my music.
Perfect. You were still polite, but you also explained why you were asking.
So it's all about adjusting to the situation.
Exactly. A library is supposed to be super quiet, but a bus is usually noisy anyway.
That makes sense. Being polite is about being aware of the place and the people around you.
You got it, Alex. And remember, even if you make a little mistake, it's okay.
It's all about learning and trying our best to be polite.
Now let's move on to the last part of our deep dive, where we'll talk about.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We're wrapping up our lesson on public politeness.
That's right. We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? Useful phrases, important words.
And even how politeness can be different around the world.
It's been a great deep dive. So what are the key takeaways here? What should our listeners really remember?
Yeah, what are the most important things to keep in mind?
Well, first of all, keep your English simple and clear. You don't need to use big fancy words to be polite.
Yeah, short and sweet does the trick.
Yeah.
What else?
Always remember your please and thank yous. Those two little words can make a huge difference.
They're magic words in any language.
They really are. And finally, remember that different cultures have different ways of doing things. So it's always a good idea to be respectful and observe how people around you are acting.
That's great advice.
No.
Now, before we say goodbye, let's have a little fun with what we've learned.
Fun. I'm all ears.
All right, remember our dialogue about the person talking loudly on their phone?
Yeah, the one in the library.
Let's switch it up a bit. Imagine that same person is now in a movie theater, talking just as loud.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Movie theaters are supposed to be super quiet. Maybe I'd lean over and whisper, "Excuse me, could you please be quiet? I'm trying to watch the movie."
I like that. You whispered so you wouldn't disturb anyone else.
Exactly. And I gave them a reason why I was asking.
So we've covered how to be polite in a library, on a bus, and now a movie theater.
See, you're becoming a pro at public politeness.
I'm trying my best.
And that's what matters most. Everyone makes mistakes sometimes. The important thing is to keep learning and practicing your English.
Speaking of learning, if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to subscribe and like this episode for more helpful tips and tricks.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive. Until then, keep learning and keep being polite.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining the conversation here at Kaz English. We hope you found it fun and informative. Don't forget to check out kazapp.uk. That's kazapp.uk for more tips, resources, and interactive practice. Keep exploring, keep chatting, and we'll catch up with you again soon.